The weather this day was pretty gloomy, but the insane amount of progress from this week easily brightened it up, real quick. Let's get into all the new updates this week. What's up guys, Dr. Coaster here on behalf of the Georgia Coaster Connection, and welcome back to another ArieForce One Construction update. Before we get started, I just want everyone to know that all photos and footage included in any of these construction updates are free to use with credit. I'd also like to thank my Georgia Coaster Connection partner Christopher as we gather this content together. I'll link his pages down below. For those of you interested in attending the Goliath Marathon that I teased at the end of last week's video, concrete details will be at the end of this video, so stay tuned. It's been a trend lately with ArieForce One's construction to see a lot get done between my visits to the park, and I was pleased to find that this week was no different. Last week we saw supports for the barrel roll and chili dip start to be assembled, and perhaps most importantly, we saw the transfer track, station, and pre-lift section all get attached to each other to give us a look at what this sequence of the ride would look like for the very first time. On Fun Spot's end, the flyers appeared like they were ready to open, and the parking lot continued to lie in wait for what was coming next. So before getting into ArieForce One itself, let's check out some general Fun Spot updates first. Upon arriving to the park, I was greeted with new signs on my way to the parking lot, including this one for ArieForce One, which continues to read simply, "Coming soon," the same way the billboards around town have for some time now. Starting off at the parking lot, and there are no longer any vehicles here. I have no clue what this means, but there is a big old machine of some kind now sitting over there in the corner. We'll continue to keep an eye on this, but if someone is more knowledgeable on construction than I am, please let us know in the comments what this thing is. Before I left the parking lot, I ran into a park employee that apparently watches my videos. That was pretty cool, and then he gave me the scoop on the flyers, knowing that I was about to head right there. It was a pleasure meeting you, and thank you for making the park such a wonderful place to visit each and every week. Alright, now let's take in this view, because the flyers are finally set up and running, and man, do they look good. It's crazy that just a few weeks ago, this is what we were looking at here. But it sure is great to see them running now. They are clearly an instant hit at the park, and we're getting plenty of rides from park guests while I was there this week. The Screaming Eagles in their red, white, and blue color scheme look incredible sitting in front of ArieForce One, and I can't wait to see what rides join it next. Fun Spot has been on a hot streak lately with adding new rides, and I'd imagine that this is only going to continue going forward. More on my speculations on that later in the video. Finally, it was time to check out the layout the same way I always do, so I headed back behind the arcade to check out the progress in the chili dip and barrel roll. And folks, we've finally got something here. I know I've been showing the same shots here for a while now, but here's our first view of the chili dip and barrel roll. These supports have been being assembled in recent weeks, but now they've gone vertical. We can see the track for the back end of the barrel roll, but it doesn't seem like that of the chili dip is present yet. There's still some track back in the woods, but I'm unsure if some of these got moved from last week or not. It's just too far away for me to be 100% sure. What isn't too far away, however, is the new supports that have moved on site, signaling that we are getting close to seeing this portion of construction completed. Seeing all the progress behind the arcade got me itching to head up front in front of the arcade to see what was going on there. While approaching the area in front of the arcade, it didn't seem like anything had gone vertical, but there was still some awesome progress overall that I found once I got there. On the site where we saw the crane last week, the supports for what appears to be the actual pass of the arcade seem to be completed. On the backside of the arcade, we saw the exit of these elements, and you can see a little bit of it here. When this is completed, it should create a truss that will be similar to the one on the lift hill and stall structure, as well as what we see on the top of the Raven Truss dive. Some of these supports could also be used for the pass over the ticket booth and snack bar, however. During last week's update, I made the observation that the only remaining elements in ArieForce One to be installed all pass over something. And this week, we're beginning to see these start to come together. Moving down further towards the front of the layout now, let's check in on the progress of the double up. First off, looking back at the last couple of weeks' footage, I realized that during last week's update, there was more progress in the double up than I initially thought. And this week, RMC added even more to it. I'm not sure if this is the max height of it yet or not, but it's certainly getting close. Now, possibly the biggest surprise of this week occurred while I was right here filming the double up, and that's this portion of the supports right here. We all knew that Fun Spot was going to have a way to get to and from both the future expansion of the park, but also the entrance to ArieForce One. The way the ride is set up, we hadn't seen where this was going to be quite yet, but this has got to be it. Surely, this is where we will enter not only ArieForce One's queue, but also access to future rides at the park. I did a whole video on what I thought the future of the park would look like, and I'll be sure to put it in the end card of this video. What would you want to see go over in this section of the park? I know I've got my ideas. Keep in mind that Fun Spot owns more land behind here as well, so be sure to drop your ideas in the comments below. Moving on from that exciting development though, let's get into another one, or multiple, because as you're seeing this panning shot, you're probably noticing numerous things that are new here. So let's start with the most obvious. Supports for the Outerbanked airtime hill are going vertical for the very first time. The ones that you're seeing here are going to be the beginning of the hill as it pulls up out of the longest zero-G stall in North America. It's kind of hard to picture it from these angles, but the Outerbanked airtime hill is going to pass over the pre-lift section like we are seeing here, and then connect over here at the beginning of the double up. So the profiling of the element, like many of them on ArieForce One, is going to be just ridiculous, and I can't wait to see further progress here in the coming weeks. And based on all of the supports and track lying nearby, we should definitely expect to see that very soon. Lastly, before we conclude this update on all the progress this week, let's take special notice that even more electrical work has been done near the base of the lift hill. We had seen many wires and cables installed here in recent weeks, but this green box, or whatever an electrician would call it, is now installed. I'm definitely no expert here, but this is clear progress, even to the uneducated eye. That'll do it for this week's updates, but I can't even begin to imagine what we will see coming up in the next update. RMC has been keeping busy, and I'm excited to share it with you when the time comes. Now, for those of you that have expressed interest in the Goliath Marathon, I'm excited to announce that it will be taking place this upcoming Sunday, September 18th. I apologize that this is relatively short notice, but that's why I made sure to bring it up in last week's video and post further details on my community page as they became available. We will all be meeting by Goliath to begin our marathon at noon when the park opens. We're asking that everyone try to arrive 25 to 30 minutes early because we will be tracking our rides with a wristband system. Each rider will be given 4 color-coded wristbands to begin the day. One for a 5K, one for a 10K, one for a half marathon, and another final one for a full marathon. This will be a fun way to track your progress with your friends and other enthusiasts you meet along the way. If you're concerned that Goliath is too much to take that many times, then that's perfectly okay, because others will be branching off to ride other attractions throughout the day. We are asking that all children under the age of 16 are accompanied by an adult, and that you would kindly RSVP at the link in the description so we can have a rough head count for the event. This is entirely free, and we hope to see you all out there. Please do not hesitate to reach out with any further questions. Thank you all for watching. That was the 26th of many ArieForce One construction updates to come. If you don't want to miss out on more construction updates like this, then be sure to subscribe to the channel, as many more of these will be coming out, leading up to the opening of the ride. If you haven't already, then also be sure to follow Georgia Coast Connection over on Instagram, your home for all things ArieForce One. If you're feeling inclined, then you can follow me as well, at Dr_Coaster. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.